It is Howls and Growls, and we are back today with another draft prospect deep dive. And in this edition, we're talking about another point guard, and that's Houston's Jamal Shead. If you're a sucker for winning floor generals who play with a toughness and a flair for the gritty stuff, Jamal Shead is someone who is really easy to gravitate toward. Shead was a consistent catalyst for winning in his 4 years with the Cougars, and while his numbers don't necessarily pop here on his profile, it's hard to ignore his value when you watch him, and he certainly should be an option for Minnesota with their second round pick. Now, Shead will be a real test for how much a small point guard who hasn't proven to be a threatening three-point shooter can work in today's NBA. Shead shot just 30.9% on 3.9 attempts per game from deep this past season, capping off a collegiate career where he made just 29.6% of his 429 total attempts. So you're looking at a 6-foot flat point guard who so far hasn't shown the ability to knock down threes at an NBA level. But if you are in on Shead, it's because he's got some tools in his game that make him exceptionally fun to watch and help his team win games. And you don't have to look any further than with his defense. Shead is a bulldog defender and easily one of the best point of attack and perimeter stoppers in this class. He's a sick screen navigator, he eats up space relentlessly, and he causes turnovers and chaos within opposing offenses at an insane rate. The Timberwolves just finished as the best ranked defense in the regular season, and one of the best defenses of the modern era. If they want to continue building on this foundation, they should be seriously considering Shead in that backup point guard role that is missing right now on their roster. The thing that stands out the most about Shead's defensive acumen is the way he navigates screens and hassles ball handlers. It's become commonplace to see him blast through a ball screen like this and then harass his man into submission with his ability to cover ground while sliding in a defensive stance and with speed and intensity. Even for a small guard, he plays so much bigger with his strength, his speed, and his lateral quickness, and that's where he's going to provide value at the next level. Again, on this possession, he's curling around this screen and staying attached, then he teleports through this gap and then gets himself skinny over another screen. He's so great at bouncing off the floor like this to shut off a pass through here, and then he's back to work, slicing through another screen and helping to force a turnover. So that's what a team is going to get from Shead on the ball, but I think one of the keys to negating his size disadvantage is his ability to impact the game defensively as a roaming hellhound. The way he is able to read passing lanes, rotate throughout possessions, and find ways to break up possessions will be a really great tool to help him stay super impactful despite his size. And that's why, even with that size, Houston were a massive 12.2 points per 100 possessions better defensively when Shead was on the floor. He's just an all-round impact demon on that end of the court. You can see the destruction that he causes as an off-ball defender in this next possession. You see him here, he's stalking this pick and pop action with bad intentions, and as soon as the screener flares out here, he leaves his man and swoops into the passing lane. He picks off that pass, and you can see that those live ball turnovers that he's a master at creating often lead directly to points. Again, he's hiding in the weeds here. The pick and pop unfurls within the offense as the big man sets the screen and then drifts into this open space. And look how quick Shead kamikazes his way into that passing lane and lopes off down the floor. There's just so many possessions where Shead makes crazy dynamic defensive plays off the ball. On this possession, he's stuck on the weak side defending two players. When the ball swings, he stunts at the top side and then gets himself all the way back to the corner to run his man off the line and contest the shot. Again, he's chasing his man through screens and denying handoffs as usual, but he's always making the next play. So when his big man rotates over to help on the driver, he's going to be there to dig down immediately and break up the pass. So yeah, I think Jamal Shead is going to be a prolific defensive pest when he gets to the NBA. Sure, he isn't going to be a multi-position guy like the very, very best defenders are, but he's got such a great defensive mind and a real hunger to destroy offenses that's going to find him success in whatever role he's placed in defensively. The question still remains as to how Shead can survive in the league without a reliable jumper, and really there might not be an answer to that. Shooting is obviously paramount in today's NBA, and some guys just can't overcome their shooting woes. If there is an answer for Shead though, it's going to be his ability to get downhill and make plays at the rim for himself or as a driving playmaker for others. He is so quick, so powerful for his size, and he possesses such a diverse range of finishes and passing tools that he might just be able to weaponize that to the point of value. Last season, Shead was one of just 4 players in Division 1 with at least 100 field goal attempts at the rim and an assist percentage over 40%. And of those 4 players, nobody finished with a field goal percentage at the rim higher than his 59.4% clip. Shead has a lightning quick first step. He's able to contort his body to slip past defenders or find cutters, rollers, and shooters, and he is really good at reading defensive coverages to find the best look for himself or a teammate. When you add in how great he was at controlling tempo and setting the floor as a pure point guard, you get a guy who could really find himself a role as a high-powered backup point guard or a low-end starter. Now, I'm not convinced that he has the ceiling to be the replacement for Mike Conley when he retires in the coming years, but in the second round, Minnesota could do a lot worse than securing themselves a backup point guard who pressures the rim relentlessly and puts points on a platter for players like Naz Reid and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And just like he was a massive boost for them defensively, he was actually even better for Houston offensively. They were a massive 18.5 points per 100 possessions better offensively when Shead was on the floor, even despite his shooting woes. He's going to have to rely on that speed and his tendency to reject screens and dust defenders with his first step at the next level, because defenses are going to slide under ball screens every time until he proves he can make threes. But if he can solve that problem with his elite floor game and his craftiness going downhill in the same way that he did at Houston, he's got a chance to find himself in that same role as the likes of TJ McConnell and Jose Alvarado, and they're super important role players for their respective teams. It's just not often you get a defender, floor general, and multifaceted downhill attacker in a backup point guard, especially if Minnesota are able to pick him up in the second round. The questions are always going to be there about the shooting and the size, but Jamal Shead is a winner and he's a ton of fun to watch. Thanks again for watching Howls and Growls. Please subscribe for more.